Welcome to this lecture on microbial toxin. In this particular lecture, I shall be covering the different aspects of mushroom toxin. Now, mushrooms are higher fungi, which are commonly known as bracket fungi, because they contain the mycelia which are interwoven with individual clamp connection, as a result of which they produce strong rhizomorph. And these rhizomorph actually produce beautiful fructification or fruit bodies or sporocarp, commonly known as spore-bearing structures. These particular spore-bearing structures actually can be edible, it can be non-edible, but at the same time it can be poisonous. And the cause of this poisonous mushroom is the different types of toxin. Now, as I was telling you, this particular sporocarp can be edible. Amanita is actually having edible as well as poisonous mushrooms. There is a beautiful incident that took place in the Roman Empire. What happened was the mother of Nero, who was Agrippina, wanted to remove Claudius from the throne, and actually she poisoned him with a mixture of an edible mushroom which is Amanita caesarina, and along with it she mixed it with Amanita phalloides that produced the dreadful toxin of phallotoxin. As a result of which Claudius didn't understand that it was a poison and he died because of hepatotoxicity and neurotoxicity. So thereby we can understand that it is very difficult to understand whether that mushroom is edible or non-edible. Like the Amanita, as I told you, can be edible or non-edible. But this one is definitely an edible mushroom of Agaricus. It is actually commonly known as the button mushroom. This is another species, a beautiful Pleurotus. Commonly it is called the Pleurotus austriatus. It is the oyster mushroom which is also edible. And the one which is shown here is Coprinus. It is non-edible, but at the same time it is not that much poisonous. And it exhibits a unique phenomenon called autodigestion. So today if I see a beautiful sporocarp, maybe tomorrow it will be only a patch of black ink because it has exhibited autodigestion. Different parts of mushrooms include, there will be a stalk which can be long or short, and there is a cap. So commonly it is called a toadstool. And in that particular cap, the upper part is leathery, which is the pileus, and the lower part is the gill, which normally will contain the spores or the basidiospores or basidia. Though mushrooms can also belong to Ascomycetes group, and it will be having ascus and ascospore. Normally this mycelia will be growing below the soil, will be undergoing interweaving, and it will produce the fructification easily. Now, mushrooms, as I told you, can induce different types of toxicity. It can be hepatotoxic, as seen in case of amanitin, which is produced by Amanita. It can be gastrointestinal disorder causing mushroom, like the Amanitas rubescens, which commonly produces the phallotoxin. It can produce renal disorder by orelanin, which is produced by the Cottinarius. It can be protoplasmic poison, like produced by the Gyrometra esculenta producing gyrometrin. It can be neurotoxic, like muscarine produced by Amanita muscaria. Or sometimes it is not toxic alone. It will be toxic when it is consumed along with alcohol, like we see in case of coprine produced by Coprinus, and which is also producing an allied compound, disulfiram. So coming to some major toxins of mushroom. This is the sporocarp of Amanita phalloides, which is producing hepatotoxic toxin commonly called alpha-amanitin. Alpha-amanitin is a complex polypeptide which is having outer and the inner loop, which is joined by two amino acids namely it is joined by the outer and the inner loop through tryptophan and cysteine joining. This particular toxin can be hepatotoxic. As you can see, this is the control liver where the liver cells or hepatocytes are intact. But as gradually the consumption of this particular alpha amanitin increases, there will be gradual damages in the hepatocytes, and this will be coming out as necrotic lesion. So this hepatotoxicity can induce severe diseases like liver cirrhosis, or even sometimes it can induce liver cancer. At the same time, it is also causing a very important phenomenon, which is blocking the DNA replication. By blocking an enzyme RNA polymerase, it is joining to this leucine subunit, and thereby it will ultimately prevent the synthesis of RNA primer and will stop the DNA replication process. So that is also equally toxic. And sometimes it can be so poisonous that the person can die within a period of 10 days. And commonly the only symptom is trace amount of alpha amanitin can be detected in the urine. Now coming to the next important toxin, which is phallotoxin. Phallotoxin is produced by the sporocarp of this Amanita rubescens. It is actually a polypeptide again, somewhat having a similar structure, that is a heptapeptide which is more or less circular in outline. And this particular circular compound is not a single one, because there are large number of side chains. These side chains will actually produce a series of related compounds like prophalloin, phalloin, phallicine, phallicidine, phallicine, etc. These compounds in general, they are not properly absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract, as a result of which they will cause gastrointestinal irritation, and which will ultimately cause gastric ulcer or similar symptoms. Cottinarius orellanus, which is producing a toxin which is commonly called orellanine. Orellanine chemically is a bipyridine which is normally inactive, but when consumed it becomes active. This is the conversion into active form. And this active compound will cause severe toxicity. How? It will generate reactive oxygen species, as a result of which different tissues are damaged. And at the same time, it will be trapping different heavy metals or light metals like aluminium. So sometimes aluminium trapping will also bring about aluminium toxicity. Normally when it is in the soil, it will also remove phosphorus, as a result of which phosphate is not available to other soil-borne organisms. At the same time, it may inhibit the electron transport across the membrane of living cells. This is another one which is commonly called the Omphallotus. Omphallotus actually is a mushroom which produces a toxin called muscarine. It is also produced by Inocybe, it is also produced by Lactarius, it is also produced by Boletus, and as the name suggests, muscarine is also produced by Amanita muscaria. It is chemically a quaternary amine, so it is an amino compound having a 5-membered ring. Most importantly, it will cross the blood-brain barrier. That means from blood it will get into the cerebrospinal fluid, causing neurotoxicity. Now what type of neurotoxicity? Actually, it will mimic a very important compound called acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter. And because it mimics, it will bind with the same receptor, cholinergic receptor. And at the same time, it is not degraded by acetylcholine esterase. So it will continue to stay there, and it will impose toxicity by causing muscular contraction. And this muscular contraction will bring about tremor, will bring about different muscular disorder, and if it is happening in delicate organs, very important organs like heart may be affected and the person may die of heart failure. But this compound muscarine may also have some medicinal uses. What type of uses? It can be used to treat a problem of enlarged colon, which is commonly called the megacolon. This megacolon can be reduced by muscarine treatment. It can also be used in the treatment of glaucoma. Now, what is glaucoma? The ocular pressure in the inner chamber increases, as a result of which the eye becomes like a tunnel. So, it is called a tunnel vision. So, in the treatment of tunnel vision, it is used. It can also be used in the treatment of xerostomia or dry mouth syndrome. And at the same time, a person whose urination is not regular, it will bring about the contraction of the muscles in the urinary bladder and thereby will induce urination, and as a result of which this is a very illful drug. But muscarine will have some side effects. It should not be given in persons who are suffering from chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. Already the bronchus or the trachea is showing constriction. So air passage is not normal. So giving muscarine can be detrimental to those persons who are suffering from COPD. And it is also contraindicated in persons having gastric ulcer. It has been shown that this gastric lesion will increase with the consumption of muscarine. Gyrometrine, which is commonly obtained from mushroom called Gyrometra esculenta. This Gyrometra esculenta is commonly called the false morel because it looks like a very important and a delicate mushroom called morchella, which is called the true morel. And true morel is actually a very costly mushroom because of its delicacy. But this false morel will produce a toxin of gyrometrine. Now this gyrometrine actually is a linear organic compound which is having a conversion. It will be converted readily to a toxic compound called methyl hydrazine. And this methyl or monomethyl hydrazine will ultimately block the activity of a very important vitamin called pyridoxine or pyridoxal phosphate. Now this pyridoxal phosphate is very important in amino acid metabolism. At the same time, it can actually block different activities where pyridoxal phosphate is involved. Like it will block the amino acid metabolism, it will block glucose metabolism, it will block the serotonin or epinephrine pathway, thereby the neurotransmitter pathway will be blocked. At the same time, it may produce histamine, which actually can bring about allergic reaction. And this particular toxin can also inactivate a very important enzyme, which is called diamine oxidase. This diamine oxidase is actually produced in different individuals, including pregnant women. So this diamine oxidase will be blocked in case there is gyrometrine toxicity. So what happens is this will ultimately inhibit the metabolism of histamine because it will block the enzyme histaminase, and the diamine oxidase is the same name, as a result of which histamine will accumulate. And there will be toxemic condition, there will be different muscular irregularity, there will be trophoblastic disease, but most importantly, there will be severe allergic reaction. And the severity can be so severe sometimes that there will be abortion at times. As I was telling, coprinus is a non-edible mushroom, but it is not a deadly toxic mushroom because it produces a particular toxin called coprine. This is the coprine which is produced from an amino acid glutamine. So glutamine to coprine is converted within the body, and sometimes it may generate a closely related compound called disulfiram. Now what happens is it will actually block the different metabolic pathway. Primarily, it may block the metabolism of ethyl alcohol. It will ultimately block the acetaldehyde to acetic acid conversion, as a result of which ethyl alcohol is not properly metabolized in the liver. At the same time, it can block the dopamine, it can block the neurotransmitter pathway. So ultimately, it will actually block the neurotransmission. And if consumed with cocaine, as you can see in this particular diagram, it can be detrimental. It can be a killer combination. Now, disulfiram, as I was telling, is also blocking extrapyramidal cells of the brain. And this extrapyramidal cell, if being blocked, they will ultimately result in loss of precision and decision making. So, there will be some sort of change in the personality. So, this is the very important usage of this particular disulfiram derived from coprin. What is that? Ethanol, which is converted to acetaldehyde by alcohol dehydrogenase, is being converted to acetic acid by aldehyde dehydrogenase. Now, this particular disulfiram will block this enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase, as a result of which there will be accumulation of acetaldehyde in the system, in the blood, in the liver, and the person will have a giddy feeling and he will not be all right. So, this particular reaction is being used by people in those persons who are addicted to alcohol. So, that person, if he is consuming this drug disulfiram, will not feel like taking alcohol anymore. So, it is treated in this way, that alcoholics can be actually become non-alcoholic with gradual consumption of disulfiram. At the same time, it can also be used to treat problems of melanoma or problems of immune-related diseases. The next important toxin, which is produced by Amanita gemnata, which is producing a toxin called ibotenic acid. Ibotenic acid actually is an organic compound which is very close to muscimol. Actually, they are hydroxyisoxazole derivative of acetic acid. And this particular compound of ibotenic acid and muscimol will have definite problem related to the brain. It can cause lesion to the brain. At the same time, it can be blocking the GABA receptors. And naturally, the combinational toxicity of these two, that is muscimol and ibotenic acid, is not good for a person. There will be severe brain lesions as shown here, which will be there when we consume this type of toxin. Here, definitely, it can also be used as a particular drug which will induce a lesion, and thereby, if we want to test some antioxidant compound, it can be used in research. That means you will create a lesion in an animal and then give some antioxidant therapy so that the lesion is removed. So, there lies the research implication of this ibotenic acid. The next important mushroom, which is psilocybe azurescens, which is producing a particular toxin called psilocybin. Psilocybin is actually chemically a tryptamine. This tryptamine, which is commonly having an indole ring with an ethylamine side chain. And this particular tryptamine is produced from tryptophan, which is an essential amino acid. So, tryptophan is converted to tryptamine, then it is converted to dimethyltryptamine, and then to psilocin, and then to psilocybin. So, very often psilocybin, when it gets into our body, it will produce the more potent, more active psilocin. And this psilocin, whenever it is produced, it can act as a drug which is common to LSD, or it will be a phosphatase inhibitor. It will actually damage the neural system in such a way that several important receptors are blocked. And sometimes we call it a standstill phenomenon that will make a person totally off from the time perception. He will not understand what time it is, he will not feel any change, and it will be a standstill sort of phenomenon because of this psilocin activity. It is not alone. Sometimes psilocin may be converted to different other toxic compounds like the glucouronides or the indole ones. And these are also having equal toxicity, which ultimately will result in neural dysfunction. Now, this particular area of the brain which is affected by the psilocin or psilocybin is the dorsolateral or the orbitofrontal lobe of the forebrain. and this is commonly representing the prefrontal cortex or the prefrontal receptor. And because of this person will often actually feel like that he is away from the world, and thereby this will have some sort of spiritual implication. Very often psilocybin is also given to a person to induce psychedelic effect, so it can also be taken up by drug addict. So this compound ultimately will make you away from the world, yet it will actually have some important changes in the brain perception. Now these are the serotonin receptors which are commonly blocked by psilocin, as a result of which the normal serotonin will not go in, and as you know, when the serotonin receptors are not functioning, the person will gradually he will lose the perception of time. The arabinitol or arabitol, which is not only produced from mushroom, it is commonly produced from hydnum. At the same time, it is also produced from yeast-like fungi, but these are actually alcohol derivative of arabinose. So in human body, sometimes arabinitol is metabolized. It will be metabolized to xylulose or to ribulose, which are common sugar involved in different biological activity. But when it is accumulated in intact form, it will cause gastroirritation. And this gastric irritation, when it increases up to a certain level, it will also stimulate the parasympathetic stimulation, as a result of which there will be some change in the neural perception. So as such, we can see that mushrooms are of different types. Some of them are edible, some of them are non-edible, some of them are poisonous. And in this particular lecture, I have discussed the poisonous impact of different toxin or important toxin produced by the mushroom, which include ammonitoxin, which include the orinalin, which include the muscarine, which include the psilocybin, the gyrometrin, and the ibotenic acid. Psilocybin, as I told you, is also very much toxic to the neural system, which is used by the drug addict. And I have concluded with arabinitol. But we must remember, we have only discussed some of these toxins. There may be more toxin or toxin-like compounds produced, because these particular compounds, when they go into the metabolism, they will acquire fresh side chain and will produce innumerable number of compounds which will have immense toxic effect on the human and animal system. Thank you.